What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and in this video I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Alabama Crimson Tide will beat the Michigan Wolverines in the college football playoff semifinal of the 2023/24 college football season. And again, before I start this video, this is not my official prediction. This is simply 5 reasons and also like 5 keys to the game for Alabama in order to beat Michigan, and also how they can beat Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal. And again, we're doing every single playoff team. We have done Michigan already, we have done Washington, and then yesterday we did Texas. Now we're ending things out here with the number 4 seed, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So again, we're going to give you 5 reasons why the Crimson Tide here will beat the Michigan Wolverines here in the college football playoff semifinal. And like I said, this is not my official prediction. My predictions for these games will be coming right after Christmas, so stay tuned for those videos coming out right after Christmas here on the channel. But again, we're going to give you these 5 reasons. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Alabama Crimson Tide will beat Michigan here in the college football playoff semifinal. So let's get right into these 5 reasons. We'll start here once again from the bottom and work our way to the top. So we'll start here with the number 5 reason. My number 5 reason for Alabama is the defense. So you look at over the years of Alabama, on the defensive side of the football, they just overall have looked really completely dominant on the defensive side of the football. It may not be the most talented defense this year, but they're at least a top 20 defense. And, over the course of the years, Alabama has been ranked inside the top 5 and then, of course, inside the top 10 / outside the top 10 in the defensive side of the football. Ever since Nick Saban came around, the defense has just been overall pretty dominant. There's not really anything stopping that Alabama defense from, winning some of these big-time games. I think in this game it will be a tough, test here for this Alabama defense, especially going up against a really good Michigan offense. But you look at the over and under for this game, I think both defenses are pretty much going to rule the day in this one. And I also said that Michigan's defense was going to be the key as well for, for them to beat Alabama in the playoff semifinal. Michigan is favored by 1 point in this game, and the over and under for this game is at 45.5. So I think they're kind of expecting a really low-scoring type game. Both defenses probably will rule the day in this one, and I could see that playing out. I could really probably see that playing out here in this game, but we're just going to have to find out what it's at stake here for both of these defenses. And again, I think the big reason why Alabama can win this game is pretty much their defense. They have some talented players every single year on that side of the football. And again, ever since, the Kirby Smart days, the Jeremy Pruitt days, and then the new defensive coordinators coming around here under the Nick Saban era, Alabama's defense has just been so dominant. And, they haven't been as dominant as Georgia defenses have been in the last couple years, but this defense just continues to be really better without Kirby Smart and Jeremy Pruitt at the defensive coordinator positions. So this is my number 5 reason why I think Alabama can beat Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal. It's just that defense of theirs. So this is my number 5 reason, is the defense for Alabama. Let's move on to the number 4 reason. My number 4 reason is the wide receivers for Alabama. Now, over the years, Alabama's had a handful of great wide receivers. It kind of, started in the early part of the Nick Saban era. Kind of started with Amari Cooper, and it also kind of started with DeAndre White, a Darius Stewart as well. And you just look at overall these talented wide receivers over the course of the years. Alabama seems like they get new wide receivers that really have some legendary stats, and they also play like a big-time game in themselves. And you look at the wide receivers this year, they were pretty young, but they have gotten better each and every single game ever since that loss to Texas. You look at Isaiah Bonds, and you also look at Jermaine Burton. Both of those guys are their top wide receivers. Jermaine Burton doesn't have a lot of catches this year, but he's got like 8 receiving touchdowns and about 777 yards receiving this year. That Tennessee game was probably the best game that I've seen him play play really good in a long time. And then you look at Isaiah Bonds on the other side. Caught the game-winning touchdown in that Iron Bowl game against Auburn, so that was the reason why this wide receiver group is getting so much better here for Alabama on the offensive side of the football. And again, every position is getting better for Alabama ever since that loss to Texas. And again, a lot of people doubted this Alabama team after that South Florida win just by like 10 points in that game. But again, these wide receivers, over the course of the years in Alabama football history, there's always been that one wide receiver, and there's also been that second receiver that's been able to step up for the Alabama Crimson Tide in order to win a national championship. I mean, it looks like it was Amari Cooper back in 2012. It looked like it was Devontae Smith because Devontae Smith won the Heisman Trophy that year. And that was probably the best wide receiver class they had that year in 2019. They had Jaylen Waddle, they had Devontae Smith, they also had, Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. Those guys were really talented wide receivers, but these are young receivers this year. They're getting better, though. I mean, they've been better ever since that loss to Texas. So Isaiah Bonds and Jermaine Burton are going to have to be huge in this game, coming up against the Michigan defense, which is really good in the secondary. We'll see how they do in that game going up against the Michigan secondary. But this is a big reason why I believe Alabama can beat Michigan here in the college football playoff semifinal. It's just because of their wide receivers that they have. So this is my number 4 reason. Let's now go on to number 3. Number 3 is college football playoff experience. I know this is not a big reason, but Alabama has a lot of experience in the college football playoff, in the 4-team playoff, ever since it started in 2014. They were in the first ever college football playoff. They did not win the first ever college football playoff, 4-team playoff, but they did win it the next year. They did, beat Clemson in 2016. That was the year where Derrick Henry came around and won the Heisman Trophy that year. They lost it in 2016 or 2017 when Jalen Hurts was a freshman, but they came back the next year. Tua Tagovailoa come off the bench and everything and threw a game-winning touchdown against the Georgia Bulldogs. And that just tells you that Alabama going into this game against Michigan, they are just not going to have any nerves when it comes to this college football playoff. And again, they have a lot of experience in the playoff. Now, I know they missed it in 2019. They also missed it in 2022 last year, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is the experience that Alabama's had in the playoff over the course of the years. This team just looks like they're the most experienced team in the college football playoff history, and they've won 3 national championships, in the 4-team playoff bracket in the history of the college football playoff as well. They won it in 2020. They had that dominant offense that year with Steve Sarkisian at the offensive coordinator position. They won it on a game-winning touchdown in that overtime game against Georgia. And then they also won that game when Derrick Henry was around against undefeated Clemson. And, for a fun fact, that's when the last time, Alabama won that as a number 4 seed was the year of 2018. So that was the last time they were a number 4 seed here in these playoff, bracket and everything. And that year they won the college football playoff. So again, Alabama has a lot of experience going into this college football playoff semifinal matchup against Michigan. Michigan seems like it has experience now after making it back-to-back appearances, but I just think based off of what Alabama has done in the history of the playoff, they just have more experience, and they're also not going to have any nerves going into this game against Michigan. So I think this is a big reason why Alabama can win this game against Michigan. It's just because of their college football playoff experience. And again, I don't think there will be any nerves for these players, even though they haven't played it yet in their history. But Nick Saban will have his guys ready to go. I really guarantee he's going to have these Alabama players ready. So this is my number 3 reason why Alabama can win the college football playoff semifinal matchup against Michigan is because of college football playoff experience. Moving on to my number 2 reason, and that brings me to Coach Nick Saban. So Nick Saban is the reason why Alabama has been so successful, of course, over the years. They have been very dominant in recent years as well. The last 2 years, they haven't been so dominant. It seems like Georgia was going to take over college football, ever since, they won back-to-back national titles. And we thought, they would make a college football playoff appearance. I did not have Alabama in the preseason making a college football playoff just because a lot of people thought they would lose 2 or 3 games on the season. But Nick Saban knows how to win games, and he knows how to win these big games as well against really high-powered programs, especially Michigan going up against them on January the 1st. This is a really big test. We saw them lose in that Week 2 game against Texas, but what did Nick Saban do? He did not quit on this team. He also did not give up on this team either. Yes, he did make a change at quarterback in week number 3, but that does not really matter. Nick Saban just knows how to win ball games. And you look at the history of Nick Saban. He's won a handful of national championships, and going into this game against Michigan, he just has that coaching experience, and that just tells me going into this game, he just has a lot of confidence in his kids. So again, Nick Saban is the reason why Alabama has been so successful in college football playoff history, and that's also why they've been so successful at winning national championships. Will Nick Saban lead this young team to a national championship? They got to get past Michigan first. Again, not saying they're going to beat Michigan just yet, but it could be very possible that we see an upset here because remember, the last time when Alabama was like a number 4 seed, they pulled off an upset against a number 1 seed in Clemson back that year, and that's where, Alabama just continued to dominate because they did not give up. So, again, Nick Saban, I think, will have his kids ready going into this game coming up against Michigan. I don't think he has any nerves either, so this is my number 2 reason why I think Alabama beat Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal. It's just because Nick Saban, the head coach for Alabama, and again, one of the greatest coaches of all time to ever coach on the football field. So this is my number 2 reason, but let's get to my number 1 reason now, the most important reason why I think Alabama will beat Michigan here in the college football playoff semifinal. And that number 1 reason is the quarterback, Jaylen Mio. So this is my number 1 reason why I think Alabama will win. You look at Jaylen Mio, where he was at it early in the part of the season. He did struggle in the first couple games of the year, struggled against Texas. He was benched in the South Florida game, but then he came back in the Ole Miss game, and that's kind of where Jaylen Mio started to get better as a quarterback. And that also led to, some really big successes for Alabama, and that led him to, a big winning streak ever since that loss to Texas. And also, Jaylen Mio is the reason why Alabama is in the college football playoff. He's also the reason why they won the SEC championship this year. They beat the number 1 ranked team in the country in Georgia in that SEC championship. And again, ever since that loss to Texas, Alabama has just been so much better as a football team, and so has Jaylen Mio. He's been better as a quarterback ever since that Texas loss. And again, a lot of Alabama fans just did not have a lot of faith in Jaylen Mio when he stepped out onto the field against Texas, and also when he was benched in the South Florida game. But ever since that South Florida game, when he was benched in that game, he has just been an overall better quarterback. And again, he's also just the reason why Alabama made it to the college football playoff this year. And again, I didn't really have any, hopes for Jaylen Mio heading into this season. In the offseason, I was kind of doubting him as well. But again, he has proven a lot of people wrong. He's really proven a lot of people wrong ever since that loss to Texas. And again, he is the guy for this Alabama team. You look at what he has done, on the season, 23 touchdown passes. He has been taking care of the football as of late as well, 6 interceptions on the year and about 2,718 yards of passing. And that just tells me that Jaylen Mio has a bright future for Alabama heading into the next few years of Alabama football history. I think he's also a future first-round NFL draft pick. I'm not saying that he's probably going to go to the NFL this year. He probably comes back for next year and probably just has a chance to win the Heisman Trophy. But again, we're talking about 2023 here. And again, Alabama, Jaylen Mio is just the reason why Alabama is heading to the college football playoff. And it's also the reason why he has just been so successful, leading the Alabama Crimson Tide to a big winning streak ever since that loss to Texas. And again, everybody doubted this kid, ever since that loss to Texas, but he has just proven people wrong. And again, he's been running the football as of late as well. That has been his biggest strength this year for this Alabama football team. And again, Alabama has a quarterback that can run the football down the field. So again, Michigan might have to be ready for this kid to really run the football down their throats and everything. And again, Michigan's defense, I think, is good enough to stop the run of Alabama, but how can they stop Jaylen Mio from running the football? Again, we're going to have to find that out once we make our predictions here for the college football playoff semifinal games. Again, that is coming right after Christmas. But again, this is my number 1 reason why I believe Alabama could win the college football playoff semifinal matchup against Michigan. It's just because of their star quarterback in Jaylen Mio. So this is my number 1 reason. And those are my official 5 reasons why Alabama will beat Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal. Again, this is not my official prediction. These are simply just like 5 keys to the game and also like 5 reasons as to how Alabama can beat Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal. So again, what are your thoughts here on this Alabama 5 reasons? How do you think Alabama beats Michigan in the college football playoff? Give me your 5 reasons down in the comments below. And thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.